Hey guys, I've been getting a ton of questions on my YouTube channel about what I've done to my Subaru Forester. Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of all the modifications I've made to this vehicle. It's definitely not a off-road beast. I used to own a Jeep Wrangler. It did quite a bit better. But this thing gets great gas mileage, gets me where I need to go, and really is a great adventure vehicle. So you guys have been asking, so we're going to go over all the things that I've done to it. I've done a few modifications, make it a little bit better off-road, make it a little bit easier to live out of when I'm on the road for vacations. My wife and I like to do road trips. I work as a wedding photographer, so a lot of times I am out of town, and I just stay in what we call Hotel Subaru. So we're going to go over those things, kind of see what we've got going on. But let's kind of start with the most commonly asked question I get, and disregard the fact that it's a total mess. Been playing in the snow today. It snowed last night. But one of the biggest questions I get is, what tires do I have on there? These tires are General Grabber AT2s. The size on those tires is 215 70R16. They just barely fit. I don't get a ton of rubbing. They do tend to rip my mud flaps off occasionally. Those are Rally Armor mud flaps. But they do okay. Just don't baja through a dip too big and you won't rub too much. Stock rims, I just Plastidip them. I need a new coat of Plastidip. Moving on outside of that, suspension wise, I have a Anderson Design and Fabrication 2-inch strut top spacer kit. So it's 2 inches in the front and 2 1/4 in the back. And then I have just stock height king springs on there for a little bit more weight capabilities when I load it down with camping and photography equipment. So they're just a little bit stiffer than your standard springs. Going along with the lift kit, I don't know if you can see it down there behind my wiring, I've got a Primitive Racing skid plate. I also have their transmission skid plate and rear differential skid plate. So just a little bit of extra armor there on the bottom, so if I do hit a rock or a bump, something a little bit there to keep it a little bit safer. So that's basically the bottom of the car. Woo, it's cold. There's not much else done suspension wise to the bottom. I've just got that lift kit, the king springs, the tires, and then the Rally Armor kit on the bottom just for some protection. Moving on to the next most asked question is my light bar and light setup. This is a Rally Innovations light bar. Got it on their website. They're made to mount 2 lights down below the bar and 2 lights on top, so I did a little bit of modification to it to get all 4 lights on top. And I'm running KC highlights. Those are the daylighters. They are the LED version. They're really, really bright. They throw out a really good spot down the road. Not a great at flood aspect to them. The 2 in the middle are actually spot beams, and the outside ones are they're driving lights. So that's the light setup on the front there. A lot of questions about that. A little bit of modification to it. You can get all 4 lights up on top, which gives you a little bit better approach and departure angle, and just looks better. That's why I did it, really. But let's move on to the top of the car. I should have done this down the valley where it's warmer. A couple things done to the top. The first is this light bar on the front. Just like a $30 eBay light bar. It works well. It gives a really good flood, which works well with the KC highlighters on the front, kind of balance them out. I don't love a rooftop light bar, but gets the job done. Other lighting wise, I have added these cheap eBay floodlights to the side of the roof rack so that I can set up camp easier in the dark. Don't have to set up a lantern if we don't want to, or build a campfire. The actual rack I have on here, let's come back here and look at it so you can see the logo there. It's the Rhino rack is who makes it. It's just like their flat mesh cheap rack. I used to have a basket on top. I liked it a lot better, but it didn't fit the rooftop tent. So otherwise on the front, I just have a Pelican case full of some off-roading gear, air compressor, jumper cables, extra oil, extra fluid, toolkit, a couple other things in there, and then I just have 6 gallons of gas over there in a jerry can. They're just ratchet strapped down to the roof rack. And then I have a Smitty built rooftop tent, which is pretty mad. We can do a review about that thing if you want. I love that tent. Super quick to set up, super comfortable, way better than sleeping on the ground. But let me know if you want a review on that tent. And then I do have a high lift jack there in the middle, just to make it so I can get out if I have to. I've only had to use it once, but and then we've got a poop shovel over here on the corner. I do carry a bigger shovel in the winter, but that little shovel is literally just for digging latrines in the middle of nowhere. So that's basically the walk around of my vehicle. I haven't done anything else to it, so not a whole lot. There is nothing done to the engine. It's the Subaru Forester XS, that's the non-turbo. Probably should have bought the turbo version. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the walk around of the car. It does great. It's a really good little road trip and travel car. With the lift kit and the roof rack, I'm still getting about 23-ish miles to the gallon. It does struggle at 80 miles an hour. You get pretty high revs. But if you're doing 65, 70, it's fantastic. Still getting decent gas mileage, super comfortable. It's just my wife and I. So we load the back up. We can do a review on how I set up my drawer system in the back of the Subaru if you want sometime. It's not in right now because I'm not camping this week because it's cold. But yeah, guys, that's what I've done. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to see the rooftop tent or the drawer system I've put in it. Otherwise, thanks again, and be sure to hit that like button.